We are really, really, really excited to be here. This project has been a long time in the making, and there's a lot of people to thank and a lot of people to just give shout outs to. So please bear with me. I can't tell you how excited I am to get this work going, and as Professor Horwitz just mentioned, help change people's lives for the better. First and foremost, I want to recognize Brett Jacobs. If there is one person responsible for moving this forward, day by day, reaching out to partners, bringing allies on board, designing the program, doing research, it is Brett Jacobs. So, Brett, I couldn't be happier and prouder of the work that you've done. Just want to say on behalf of all of our residents, and particularly on behalf of all of the residents that are going to benefit from this program, thank you for doing the work that you've done. One more big round of applause for Brett. There are a lot of champions to recognize and celebrate. I remember having a conversation about a program like this, because this hadn't yet been designed, maybe going back a couple of years ago with Counselor Rachel Miller, and she was all for it from the very, very beginning. She's been a stalwart ally and a champion of this project, program, initiative from the very beginning. Please, a big round of applause for Counselor Rachel Miller. So many folks that I and others have had the opportunity to talk with, folks get it right from the very beginning, why we need a program like this. I want to give a shout out to fellow elected officials that are joining us here today. Representative David Morales, thank you very much for your support of this. And, as we spoke a while back, hopefully we can continue the momentum. And maybe this is a statewide initiative within a matter of time. Wonder if we could find someone to champion that. Well, thank you, Rep. Morales. I also want to recognize Representative and Judge Lombardi, who wears two separate hats. First of all, as a representative, we hope that this is a model for the state, but this work could not happen without the help of the judiciary. And municipal courts play an incredibly important role in this whole process. So twice over, really appreciate you being here, Representative. And someone who knows a little bit about municipal court work, Judge Donna Nesselbush, la abogada del pueblo. Also, as a former legislator up at the State House, she knows from a policy and a law standpoint, how to move these initiatives forward. And thank you for being just receptive and being a thought partner with this. And I can't wait to get this work going and help build off of the momentum we'll have. So thank you, Judge. So many community partners. I want to recognize the Associate Dean for Experiential Learning at Roger Williams University. Thank you, Judge. I also want to give a shout out. Representative Leo Felix is here, wearing a couple of different hats. As a state representative, but also someone in our law department that helps, with these kinds of initiatives in a number of ways. So thank you, Representative, for being here. I want to recognize Andy Horwitz. He's Associate Dean for Experiential Learning at Roger Williams Law School. He is also, I believe, board chair of OpenDoors.
Absolutely.
So you've been in this work for a long time. Appreciate you, Professor. We have Stephanie Jones Pringle. She's a financial coach at the Amos House. And you're going to be right in the middle of making sure that people who need these services get connected to it. Appreciate you deeply. While I'm at it, I also recognize Eileen Hayes, who I hope is here. If not, will be joining us. But she's an incredible ally in so much work that we do. So thank you, Eileen. I want to recognize Jennifer Wood, the Executive Director of the Center for Justice. Your frame is small, but your power is mighty, Jennifer. I think the frame, punch above your weight, comes to mind.
Don't remind the mayor, please. I need Spivey to help me over here. I got my flap jacket on too.
Coming from a former boxer, that means something. But thank you so much, Jennifer. You're always there to help and represent the community in ways that and just other folks just aren't capable of. So thank you. And last but not least, I also want to recognize Natalia Friedlander. She's a staff attorney at the Center for Justice and works closely with Jennifer Wood. So thank you to everyone. If I missed anyone, I apologize. I only have a certain number of names here. Two other things that I want to mention before I get going. All of this work that we've been developing, thought partners along the way have been members of the City of Providence's African American Ambassador Group. We have Shondell, who's a leader in this group. We have Dr. Ritchie, who's here as well. Perhaps others who I'm just not seeing in my line of view. But thank you to the African American Ambassador Group for moving this work forward and supporting this. And last but not least, I want to give a little bit of context to this investment and this new program that we're investing in. This isn't an investment in isolation. This is an investment that is part of a package of investments that we've been rolling out and developing over the past several months. In fact, years. Just a month and change ago, we announced an initiative that would provide funding for legal residents who qualified for citizenship, but simply didn't have the money to pay the $1,000 or so to apply. Well, we've invested in that, and now folks can call Dorcas International for supporting that work. We also rolled out an extension of our guaranteed income program, finding new and creative ways to support the people that are most in need. We also rolled out what has effectively become a guaranteed right to counsel in eviction cases. We have a housing crisis, and yes, we need to build more housing. Yes, we need to attack it from all angles. But the truth is that many people still find themselves in eviction court, and if you don't have an attorney in eviction court, you get steamrolled. And what we want to make sure is that everyone has access to justice in our courts, and by having an attorney represent folks, we can make sure that they get the best representation possible, while at the same time avoid that consequence where their stuff is thrown out on the street, it's put into storage, and they're sleeping at a shelter. And so it's in that context that we're announcing this license reinstatement program. The beginning of this work happened maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I remember I went down to a conference in DC put together by the Bloomberg Philanthropies. And I listened to a presentation by the current mayor of St. Paul, Minnesota. And he talked about fines and fees reform. And there was a national center out of San Francisco that talked about the challenges and how this is work that just isn't being done enough in our own communities. So I felt so compelled after the presentation. I went up and spoke with both of them and asked for some guidance to get this work going. As soon as I came back, I spoke with Brett. I said, Brett, we got to look into this. Brett did some research. He reached out to that organization in San Francisco. They actually gave us a grant to start getting the ball rolling. And 2 years later, here we are with the funding, with the program, with the partners to actually make it a reality for folks. So, this is a long time in the making. And the reason why we're doing this is as we delved deeper and deeper into the data here in the city of Providence, we did an operations audit of public safety. And what we found out is that in our police department, the number one reason why people get arrested is driving without a license. Now, we had never done something like this, so it was surprising to us, but that caused us to go even deeper into the data. And so we asked, well, why are people driving without a license? And so we dove into that research project, and what Brett uncovered was that single-handedly, the most common reason why people were driving without a driver's license was because they were late or behind on fines and fees imposed by the courts. So just put that together, right? Folks are driving without a license, and they're driving without a license because of failure to pay fines and fees. And when they're driving around without a license, they're getting arrested. The city of Providence literally has been arresting folks for being poor. That's not what we're about, and that is not what we're going to stand anymore. So that's where the final impetus for the need for this kind of work and for this kind of investment came from. So I'm really proud, after months upon months, in fact years of doing this work, Brett and all of the partners in City Hall and outside City Hall have put this together, and I believe that we have a model that is not only going to change lives here in Providence, but hopefully is a model that is going to change lives throughout the entire state and perhaps is even a model that can be picked up by other states as well. We want to move as many financial burdens and systemic barriers that people have, especially those that were most impacted by COVID and that are ones who are most struggling in our community. So that's the end for me, but I'll be remiss without saying that these investments are possible because of the American Rescue Plan dollars. So I want to give a shout out to our entire federal delegation, Senator Reid in White House, Congressman Langevin and Cicilline. I appreciate you fighting the good fight in Congress and giving us the resources that we have to invest in our community. So thank you so much for joining us today for this really special moment. And I look forward to hearing all of the deep impact that your work and this program does in our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. And of course, advancing this work wouldn't be possible, and securing the funding for this work wouldn't have been possible without the support of City Council. And so I'd like to invite Councilor Rachel Miller up to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Mayor Elorza, and everyone who's here today. I just want to start with a short story. So I think about 16 or 17 years ago, I was driving in upstate New York. I was going on a trip. I got a speeding ticket, and I put the ticket in the glove box, was on my way to the trip, not on my way home. Completely forgot about it. Fast forward to, I think, more than a year after that, I went to renew my license, and only to learn in that moment that I did not have a license. And that fines and fees had accrued. I wish I could remember the dollar amount, but what started at something like a $55 ticket had spiraled to hundreds of dollars. This was not the first or last time that I had to call my landlord and tell my landlord that rent was not going to be on time. But you remember those calls, right? You remember them every time. And it took me months to catch up. So I was able to catch up. And what I see in the community and in my life every day is I see people who have one infraction that they cannot pay, that spirals and spirals, that turns into now someone is like I was, sometimes even without knowing it, driving without a license, pulled over for a taillight, for a stop sign, right? And that has spiraled into what I've seen to be hundreds and thousands of dollars. And so what this is doing is it's blocking people from moving forward in their lives, right? It's blocking people from programs like pre-apprenticeship programs and other training. It's blocking people from advancing economic opportunity for themselves, for their families, for our entire community, for our entire neighborhoods. And so I cannot thank Mayor Elorza and Brett Jacobs, my colleagues on the council enough. The impact of this one thing, right? We talk about the high cost of being poor. This impact of one thing is going to transform lives and truly transform communities. I am so proud to play even a small part of it. I want to thank all of the community organizations who are coming together to put it in motion. And that's, I'm just thrilled that we are launching this today, and I want to thank everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. While certainly it takes bold political leadership to launch a program like this and make these bold investments, oftentimes communities are the first to feel the harms before we're able to make the investment. And I would like to invite a community member who has firsthand experience of what it's like to have the license suspended and tell us a little bit about that experience, and also has experience getting it reinstated. So Brandon Robinson, please come to the mic. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Brandon Robinson. I'm the community organizer here at OpenDoors. And first and foremost, I'd like to take this time to thank Mayor Elorza, our partners with the Amos House, the Center for Justice, Councilwoman Miller, the Rhode Island Traffic Tribunal, the Providence Municipal Courts, and the Association of Municipal Court Judges. Here at OpenDoors, we work with individuals who are previously incarcerated and may need a hand getting past some of life's hurdles. We work with over 500 individuals a year through our resource center with wraparound services. We provide housing and beds through our homeless shelter, transitional housing, and permanent supportive housing. Through our employment program, we provide job coaching for individuals recently released from prison, through computer literacy courses, resume writing, and cover letter writing. Through our job program and our trucking company, we provide job opportunities for those who have records, and they're able to have gainful employment and drive freight trucks. Through our political advocacy program, we testify and lobby at the State House before the Senate and the House of Representatives. And we, in 2006, got the Right to Vote Act passed, which allows individuals who have records to vote. And I and those individuals will be able to vote on September 13th, next Tuesday, so go and vote, people. Let's let our voices be heard, and let's help make a difference and make a change in our community. Currently, right now, we're working on the Restrictive Housing Act with our Stop Torture RI Coalition, and our mission there is to end the torture and solitary confinement. But today, we're here to introduce the new license restoration program, and through this program, we plan to work with over 600 individuals, Providence residents, over a 2-year period. Each individual will be afforded a case manager, an attorney, and $500 to go towards court fines and fees. We've been doing this work for over 8 years, and we're excited to expand into this new program. I myself had my license suspended for over 16 years, and I met Professor Horwitz, and he was able to help me get on the payment plan to get my license reinstated. That was over 4 years ago. Since then, having my license, I was able to get a job here at OpenDoors as the community organizer. I've been able to work on my master's degree at Roger Williams University for public administration. Thank you. And I'm able to do this without fear of going to jail for driving on a suspended license. The restorative license program will help many more people be afforded these same opportunities and privileges. And that's what we're here to do today.
Thank you so much, Brandon, and really congratulations on working towards your master's degree. And, you know, as flattered as I am, Mayor, for how much credit you've given me for the program, I have to say that I first learned about restoration, license restoration as a concept from Professor Andy Horwitz, who's been a thought leader and doing the work for years and years on this issue. And when I remember our first conversation about this, after you explained the process to me, I was really confused. Not because he didn't explain the process well, but because the system that gets in the way of folks being able to restore their license is indeed so complicated. And Professor Horwitz has been an incredible advocate for this issue for a long time, and I thank you for opening my eyes and the city's eyes to this, and would love for you to say a few words.
Thanks so much, Brett. So yes, my name is Andy Horwitz. I'm the Associate Dean for Experiential Education at Roger Williams University School of Law. Really like to thank my former colleague on the law faculty, Mayor Elorza, for his role in making this day come. This day has been so long in coming. My primary work at the university, at the law school, is running a criminal defense clinic. And in that capacity, of course, many of our clients were people who were experiencing driver's license suspensions. Many were people who never ever got a driver's license because as young people they started digging a hole. And the way this process works, once you start digging that hole, it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. Everything spirals upon itself. You have bills you already can't pay. You get stopped for driving with a suspended license. They tow your car. They give you more license suspension. And it just builds and builds and builds. So when you hear somebody like Brandon, who it was my honor and privilege to represent, talking about not having a license for 16 years, that's not at all unusual. I started doing this work on sort of a piecemeal basis, and this becomes, it's very much like a snowball rolling down a hill. hey, somebody told me that you helped them get your license back. The number of calls that I began to get has, grown so astronomically. A number of years ago, fortunately, I was able to get folks at the law school through the Pro Bono Collaborative to begin to help me doing this work. Individually, I've represented over 100 people in getting their licenses back, and to watch the impact that it has on people's lives, I mean, it's truly life-changing. It's critically important work. It's a huge barrier for people of limited income here in Rhode Island, I imagine elsewhere as well, but what I know about is here in Rhode Island. Brett described some beginning conversations we had some time ago. He has worked incredibly to push this project forward. I couldn't be more thrilled about the way this project has now come together. It involves a coordination of 3 agencies in this state with whom I am deeply connected and about whom I have nothing but incredible things to say about the work that they do and the hardworking folks that work in those organizations every day. I'm the chair of the board here at OpenDoors and have been for a number of years. It's a remarkable organization with extraordinarily hardworking people. Our co-executive directors, Nick Horton and Patrick Westfall, are 2 of the most extraordinary people I've had the privilege of working with in my life. I have the pleasure of being the secretary on the board of the Rhode Island Center for Justice. The Rhode Island Center for Justice is an organization that makes me proud every day to be affiliated with. In conjunction with Rhode Island Legal Services, which also does extraordinary work, the Rhode Island Center for Justice is truly a leader in trying to obtain civil justice on the most important justice issues of the day. And the last organization that is part of the trio that this project involves is Amos House. And anyone who has spent any time in Rhode Island understands the critical role that Amos House plays for members of our community who are most in need of help. And in particular, through that work and my driver's license work, I'd had the true pleasure of working with Stephanie Jones-Pringle, who is going to speak after me. What an extraordinary human being, devoted beyond one's imagination to helping and assisting others, and in particular has done extraordinary work in the driver's license restoration arena. So I'm incredibly thrilled to be here. I'm so excited that the folks that continue to call and continue to find out and continue to need help, we've gotten more calls than you can imagine without ever once advertising. In fact, trying to sort of do the opposite of advertising to stop the gushing flow. When we start advertising, the folks who are going to come out of the woodwork and be helped by this program, I just couldn't be more excited. So thanks to everyone involved. Thanks so much to the city for making this happen. I'm glad I didn't stop speaking before. I wanted to recognize one of the things that's happened with me doing this work over several years is I've had the opportunity to represent clients not only at the Rhode Island Traffic Tribunal, but also at various municipal courts. And Judge Lombardi and Judge Nesselbush, who are here, have been extraordinary partners in this work. They understand what poverty is about. They understand what they are able to do as judges, and they do it. And if we could get every municipal court judge in the state to take on the philosophy that these 2 judges have taken on, boy, this project will sail, and this would be a much, much warmer, kinder community to people in need. So thanks very much. I look forward to carrying on the work.
Thank you, Professor. I don't know if I need to introduce Stephanie. Professor, you did a great job. So Stephanie, come on up and say a few words. Thank you.
So I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm about to say amen. I just want to say, thank you to everybody who has saw the need, and actually went and did the work to get it done. And I can say amen because I pray a lot. And it's one of the things I prayed about was getting some help for people. Because yes, I want to tell you, I have done this for a while, probably about 2015. I don't know how I bumped into Andy, but I bumped into him, and ever since that, it's been on and popping with Andy and me. So if he tell me no, I just go get it done some other kind of way, but it's okay. We get it done. But I thank you for all your support. Of some of you I see in here now, I'm getting talked to, and I see who you are. I want to thank the DMV and the adjudication department. They must be hating me, but they get it done. But you know what? And you know, they get it done. You know, and I'm so grateful that they do, because they understand the need. So I just want to tell you a little bit about Amos House. I'm not really sure. I kind of bumped into this. My boss is here too, and she gets. I know I get on her last nerve, but that's okay. She'll be good. But anyway, so I'm the financial coach. But to me, if I'm gonna coach you, I gotta coach you in everything that you do. So if you owe some tickets, we gotta pay for those tickets, because that's gonna help you learn how to budget. It's gonna help you go to work, and it's gonna help you get to where you need to do and not get stopped and pulled over. So I started to do this by one person needing help and came in crying. Somehow I got introduced to Andy, and he told me what to do. He yelled at me a few times and told me what to do. I don't care. You can yell at me, because I'm gonna yell back and I'm gonna get it done. But it's okay. So, you know, we got it done, and then I learned how to do it on my own. So I learned how to give him the big bad boys, and I took the people in the middle. But we got it done. The thing is that we worked as a team, his team, us at Amos House, and we got it done. I cannot tell you how many people we helped at Amos House. My boss asked me to count. I'm not one of the people who write stuff down. I'm telling you now, I'm worried about that application. A little worried about that application. But anyway, because it requires you putting documentation down. But it works. I can tell you, I had a gentleman come in, he owed $31,000. So Brandon, you good, you're okay. You know, you ain't owe nothing. And I looked at him. But he had driven since he was a kid. And how he got away with doing that is beyond me. So he will be on a $50 payment plan until they close the casket, unless he gets a windfall. But guess what? He now goes to work. He goes to work, which is a great thing. We've had people who come in who had liens because of insurance companies. I'll call out Allstate and a couple of other USA. But you know, they come in, they block their license. Those people don't have $7,000, $8,000, but you work through it and you get it done. And you get them on a payment plan. The prayer is that they do get the payment plan paid at some time and not lose their license. I had talked to a young lady about, she had me dying laughing. She said, Miss Stephanie, it works, but you better not miss a payment. She's because they will cut you right off. But that's great, because it's going to help them learn responsibility, and it's helping them build their finances. The program is a great program. I am too terrified of how many people we're going to get coming through there. And I hope, Brett, y'all know how to go get some more money. We're going to need some. Because, you know, $500 is not a lot when you look at what needs to be accomplished when you have had your license blocked. Because by the time you pay your registration, you pay your you're done with your $500. And we won't talk about if you owe Connecticut and Massachusetts, good Lord. But but those are things that we'll have to work through. But it's a start. It's giving people hope. This morning we had orientation at Amos House, and we had about 30 people in the room, and 15 of them wanted to do the program because they heard about it because somebody put a little email out there and they got around. So we didn't have to launch this because it's already been launched. But it's great. But you know what? I am so grateful to whoever thought about it, whoever did it, whoever put it out there. It works. It does work if you work it. It is a lot to get done. It's a lot for us to get it launched off and make it run smoothly. But I do think it will work. And I just want to say thank you from Amos House and from myself, from the bottom of my heart, because I know that $500 it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's going to go a long way when you got to pay $10,000 for the rest of your life in $50 increments. And I do $25 too, by the way. But anyway, I just want to say thank you, everybody. And I really appreciate you, and y'all keep supporting projects like this. Great.
Thank you, Stephanie. And I don't know, maybe I'll try to get you more money. And as was alluded to earlier, there are definitely opportunities for state level reform and state level partnerships, and I'm very thankful to have Rep. David Morales here, who is a champion for working people and has taken a great interest in this project, and would love to have you say a few words. Thank you, Rep.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, and to all my non-binary friends, as we are seeing, this is a special moment, because this is one of the most intentional social programs that a city in our state has put forward. And I say that because unless you or someone you know has directly experienced having their license suspended or revoked due to accumulation of fines and fees, sometimes fines and fees that people aren't even aware about, then you know that it's a complicated system to be able to restore your license. And that comes with its own set of barriers, whether it's being able to have the restriction of being mobile, being able to access opportunities such as jobs or social programs. And this is why it's important that these investments are being put forward. But most importantly, that the way this program has been developed is one centered around wraparound services. This program is intentional in the sense that there will be direct social work that is provided, direct legal assistance, direct financial assistance to ensure that one is in a position to not only restore their license, but be in a position where moving forward, they won't find themselves continuing to be victims of the criminal legal system. Because it was alluded to earlier, but we've been in a situation for decades on end where poverty has been criminalized, where working people, communities of color, and concentrated zip codes where households are on fixed incomes have been forced to suffer due to legal debt. But this is why this is a culmination of years of work from several different organizations, most notably our nonprofit organizations that have been stepping up and providing this assistance. And my goal is that we see the full implementation of this program over the next year, and we see the positive outcomes. We see the economic benefits, but most importantly, we see the results of human dignity. And from there on out, we ensure that the next administration commits city general revenue to continue this program. And most importantly, we expand this program at the state level. We build this on scale and show this is how we empower the working people in our community. And we ensure that we remove every barrier that exists that prevents one from being able to access their license. And from there on out, we are going to see a more positive outcome for all of our communities. Because this, as noted, is an issue that goes well beyond just the inability to drive. This has an impact on morale. This has an impact on families. This has an impact on youth, on relatives. And so for me, I consider the social impact of this program to be the most important. And it is my hope that we do experience the positive issue of having an overwhelming number of people trying to access this program. So it gives us the further incentives to continue expanding, realizing the demand, but also recognizing the reforms that we have to make in terms of our legal system. And so with that being said, I want to thank everyone who has contributed to this project. I want to contribute and thank those who have had to experience the injustice of our legal system that has prohibited them from accessing their licenses in the first place. Because together, we're going to make this difference, and most importantly, change people's lives for the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Our final speaker today, I met for the first time in person today. We have been communicating via email and on Zoom. Judge Nesselbush has been an exceptional partner. She received a cold email from Andy Horwitz and I, and we talked to her a little bit about this program. He said, "Sure, I'll listen more." And from there, the partnership has grown, and I'm very thankful to you, Judge, and would love to hear a few words from you.
Thank you all. It really is a pleasure for me to spend some time this morning with my colleagues in government and in law and the judiciary, and with such great advocacy groups. I'm just so inspired and moved by all of the great work of Amos House and OpenDoors and the other organizations that are involved. I'm actually here this morning as the president of the Municipal Court Judges Association in Rhode Island. We are a collegial group of municipal court judges from throughout the state, from those cities and towns that do have municipal courts. And I'm happy to offer our association as a platform or a venue through which to get the word out about this program and explain, why it's all happening and how it would all work. I also really want to give a shout out to Chief Clements and the prosecution in Providence, because I know that they are on board, and the prosecution in these cases obviously plays a critical role. And so I'm glad that they are on board, and look forward to seeing how the prosecutors throughout the state respond in other communities as it gets rolled out. So I was very shocked, frankly, to learn that driving on a suspended license is the #1 cause of arrest in Providence, and I can only assume that it is also a pressing problem in other communities throughout the state. So the Municipal Court Judges Association is actually hosting a CLE, a continuing legal education seminar for municipal court judges in October. And we're pleased to have partnered. I know Judge Grasso from our association. Judge Grasso is from Johnston, and she is actively working with Brett, who, by the way, is just, when you see the phrase tireless advocate, the picture of Brett just comes right up. And so I know that Judge Grasso, on behalf of our association and the committee putting on that CLE, has been working with Brett and with Professor Horwitz to set up some sort of a seminar specifically on this issue, so we can spread the word to more of the judges throughout the state. And I will say that, when Brett talked about receiving a cold email from Professor Horwitz, that wasn't exactly accurate, since it has been my honor to be Andy's next door neighbor, literally, for well over 20 years. So we have had many conversations out shoveling snow or over the fence about these types of issues and many other social and criminal justice reform issues. So Andy, special shout out for being a great neighbor and just a great public partner in all of, always the best causes. So I always say when discussing issues like this that, and I'm sure I speak for my colleague Judge Lombardi, that, it is our job as judges in these types of situations to hear the facts and try to craft some resolution that is fair to the motorist and also fair to the city or state. And that's absolutely what I and Judge Lombardi and other judges try to do throughout the state. And this type of issue falls plainly within that responsibility, if you will. So I look forward to continuing to hear more about the project through the Municipal Court Judges Association. And I really thank you all for inviting me to be part of this program here this morning. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Judge. And we couldn't make it through one press conference without a Rhode Island moment of somebody being a neighbor, right? I think that's it. Faith will be taking questions now.
Taking questions. This is actually a question for Representative Morales. Pat Ford, Coalition Radio Network. The point about Rhode Island being a very expensive place to be poor is very well taken. And I think everyone in this room recognizes that. Ultimately, isn't the real solution, though, to A, disconnect the right to register and drive a vehicle from fines and city taxes? People may not know, and I'm speaking for a friend, that in the town of Cumberland, if you don't pay your fire tax, I've been told that your vehicles you'll not be able to renew it. So that's the first step. And the second step is to do a drastic reform of the type of compounding costs, interest costs, fines, penalties on the actual fine themselves, so we no longer have a situation where, speaking for a friend, a $50 fine mushrooms into a multi-$1,000, seriously life-altering effect if in fact you're a member of a variety of the communities around the state.
Yeah, so that's absolutely correct. I think what we are seeing is symptoms of a systemic issue that needs to be resolved at the state level. The matter of the fact is that fees and debts continue to pile up, thus restricting people from being able to achieve economic dignity, in this case being able to even have simply access to a license. And so programs like these, by all means, are providing direct assistance that needs to happen now. However, the real change is going to lie within the legislature, and that's why I alluded earlier, looking at what some of those legal reforms look like and looking at what the fees reforms look like. And this is a conversation I've had with the Speaker of the House before, conversations I've had with city staff alike in terms of policy folks, and we understand the urgency of this issue. And my intention is being able to demonstrate how a program like this, again, generates positive outcomes for our community. So we have legislation that A, is able to support programs like these at the state scale, but B, be able to actually address the systemic root cause of, again, being able to continue penalizing working people through financial means, as you just described.
Thank you.
Mayor, can you tell us what the full cost of the program is, if that's all ARPA dollars, and also how do people apply?
So I think someone else can help on the, actually Brett can better answer all of those.
Excuse me. The full cost of the program is $724,000. $700,000 of that is paid for via American Rescue Plan Act that was approved by the council earlier this year, and the remaining $24,000 is leftover grant funding from our initial grant project. And folks can visit either the American Rescue Plan website of the city, pvdrescueplan.com, or it can go to OpenDoorsRI.com/start driving.
Okay, and just a follow up to that, perhaps for the mayor or for you, Brett, obviously these federal funds have given us a lot of chances to make these big investments. Is there any plan for when that money is spent? Where does it come from next?
That's a good question. I'll make 2 points. The first is that we want to make sure that these investments that we make, they have that one-time positive, lasting impact on a community. So, for example, the immigration work that we've done, where we're helping people become naturalized citizens. That's a program that may or may not extend out into the future. But what we do know is that the people that benefit from this, they will become U.S. citizens, and that's theirs forever. So it's that kind of thing. And I see this program being very similar. For the people that we help, there isn't sort of this ongoing sort of need to continue being part of the program. They have their license, and that's something they can have forever. Now, to the extent that there are ongoing needs, we will always, and I hope we will always continue to make investments, these wraparound investments in those other areas. But as we thought about the right kinds of investments, we wanted to have that, that one-time lasting impact that isn't going to go away, even if the program does. So that's one. Second, I hope that what we're doing is providing proof points. The truth is that in government, budgets are always so tight, and it's very difficult to do new things because there's so much need for what already exists. And what the American Rescue Plan has given us the flexibility, the ability to do, is to try new things and see if the ROI or the impact that it has is an investment that we should continue making on a permanent basis. So I suspect that what we're going to see in this program is that the investment is relatively small compared to the major impact it's going to have, and through the data that we collect, it'll be a compelling proof point that not only should it continue, but perhaps it should even be expanded here in the city and throughout the state. So that's what went into the thinking behind these investments.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right.